Today, packing. I'm gonna go through how I pack different configurations from big bodies with super long lenses to smaller bodies with smaller lenses into my photo backpacks for carrying them out in the field in the hopes that you can apply it to whatever gear and whatever pack you're wearing on your back. All right, everyone, it's Hudson. Welcome to this week's video. I'm just home from Glacier National Park, having fun with the family. It's hot here in Oregon. I think it's kind of hot everywhere in the country from the look of it. But I've had a lot of questions from people about, how do you pack your gear into your pack? And I think people that have been watching this channel know my favorite packs are the ones that they're making it from NYA-EVO. It's the best photo packs I've ever used, but I think it could be applied across the board to whatever pack you're using. And you can have a look at how I'm packing my pack. I generally use a medium camera insert in my NYA-EVO 60C. That's the pack I'm gonna kind of demo. But I'm also gonna show you a couple options for carrying a bigger super telephoto or bigger zoom lens like the Sigma or Tamron 150 to 600 or the Nikon 200 to 500 or one of the big super expensive primes. It could be Sony's 200 to 600 as well, or some of the really big expensive primes, like the 800 6.3 that I have from Nikon, or David Archer's 400 2.8, or some of the big 800s and 600s that Canon and Sony make. Any of those different lenses. So we'll talk about sort of the problem of carrying those out in the field along with a little bit of other gear in case you want to encounter landscapes. And I've got a new solution to that I'll share with you. All right, so quick before we jump into that, I want to remind everyone, sign up for our next office hours. That's a big free group get-together meeting where we talk about all things photography. Rick LePage, Woody Adams, Darren Lloyd, David Archer, me, we get together in a big group. You can join us on Zoom or YouTube Live. Sign up at hudsonhenry.com/office hours and leave your questions there. We hope to see you in the next one. And just a quick reminder that everything that I showcase in this video, I have linked on my website, hudsonhenry.com/ATS links. And those links really do help me out, so I appreciate your using them. All right, so let's jump in. Let's talk about first the photo backpack that I carry in the field when I'm not carrying a super long telephoto lens. All right, so I'm gonna take you in some controlled conditions and show you how I pack my NYA-EVO Fjord 60C. It's basically the same principle that I would use for the 36 or even the smaller bags that I carry because I use the same removable camera insert, the same RCI in those. And it's very similar to a lot of other bags on the market as far as how you set up the dividers. And I'm just gonna show you how I set that up, carrying everything from 14 millimeters to 560 millimeters using my 100 to 400 and a 1.4 teleconverter. And I'll show you how I would configure it differently whether I'm carrying the Nikon Z9 or the Z6 or Z7 II or Z50, you name it, as well as what it would be like with different lenses than I tend to carry. I think it's all really interchangeable, and this one system really works for everything without changing the dividers around at all. So let's jump in and I'll show you, along with some of the other things I carry in the bag. All right, so we're gonna start with the back of the bag, and I'm gonna talk about how I carry my Nikon Z6, Z7, Z6 II, Z6 VII, for people with the Z5 or the Z50. This is how I do that. All right, so we're coming in here, opening up our back panel, whoop, and I've got my medium removable camera insert, the RCI that NYA-EVO makes. And this, it's just amazing what I can carry in here. So on this side, I've got my 100 to 400. I love the versatility of this lens. I've got a little keeper that comes with the RCI tucked in here. The RCI is held in with two Velcro pieces, super easy to remove and swap around, but it's held in there with those two Velcro pieces on each side. Got the 100 to 400. You can easily put your 70 to 200. Mine used to be in there, but I got rid of that when the 100 to 400 came out. I've got right here my Z6 II sitting in here with a 50 1.8 lens on it. I love the 50 1.8, so sharp. It's a little eye cup I take out before I put it in there, and then I'll just tuck the eye cup in next to the lens so that it comes out when I open the lens up. I've got my 14 to 24 2.8 S lens right there, keepered in. That's a pretty sweet lens. And then my jack of all trades, the 24 to 120 S lens. sitting right there. And you could vary these up. You could have the 14 to 30 in here. You could have the 24 to 70 in here. You could have the 70 to 200. But this kit fits really nicely there, and it gives you this spare area. Right here I have my 1.4 Z lens teleconverter, as well as my 105mm S lens macro. And I could switch that out. You know, it could be any number of different things. I could have a different lens sitting on the Z6 II in here, or Z7 or Z5, or whichever of the Z cameras you might want in there. You know, the 50, this is a pretty sweet combo. And then tucked up here so that I don't have to open the upper part of the compartment when I'm grabbing camera gear, I have my HB97 hood with my case 112mm magnetic adapter already installed on there, as well as my case 112mm filter bag, which has in it a UV filter in case I'm in adverse conditions, a polarizer with a 77 to 112mm magnetic adapter already installed in case I want to polarize with the 24 to 120 or the 100 to 400 that don't fit that HB97 hood. The HB97 hood snaps right onto any of the 2.8S zoom lenses out there. But doesn't fit on the 100 to 400 sadly, or the 24 to 120. So it's just really for my 14 to 24. So I've got the UV, the polarizer with that adapter, 3, 6, and 10 stop neutral density filters, as well as a neutral night filter, all in this little case, which tucks right there. And I also have my hood for the 24 to 120. So that's sort of what's in my main compartment. I'm gonna switch it up and show you what goes in here with the Z. Actually, I can just show you super fast. Basically, I take the Z6 or Z7 out, whoop, like so, put its lens cap back on. Normally I film with that. I'm filming with my Z50 right now. And I'll grab a hold of, where did I stick it? Put it around here somewhere. There it is. I'm gonna grab my Z9 body with my Kirk Enterprise Solutions L bracket installed on it. And it's iCup. I did the little video on the iCup hack. I'll put that in this video's description. I just push that little button right there, rotate that just a little bit, boop, off comes the iCup, and I stick it in the same place. It's got its body cap on it, whoop, there it goes. And I keep things like spare lens caps, cleaning cloths, my little remote triggering system for the Z9, whoop, all in there, along with body cap and lens caps when I take this out and put a lens on it. And that's how I carry either of those two systems interchangeably. I also keep a little keeper right here. It's off right now, but it goes over the camera body, whether it's the Z6, Z7, or the Z9 body. So the Z9 body basically fits where a Z6 or Z7 and, you know, a 24 to 70 or a 50mm would fit in the bag. All right, so we'll flip it over and look at the other side in a minute. You can see I've got these adjustable straps on the NYA-EVO bag. Me being about 6 feet tall, the middle one just works perfect for me. All right, so we'll take a look at the other side of my NYA-EVO Fjord 60C, and it's got these two side pockets. I'll just talk about that really fast. They're cinchable. They're kind of designed to fit a nice big liter water bottle like that. I tend to use an internal water bladder, but there are great things that just slip right into there. You know, I got my GoPro Hero 10 here with its little sort of collapsible tripod stand handle. That's just always easily accessible in that side pocket. I like to keep it there with its little cap on. You know, this little easy access pocket is where I tend to keep, you know, my Luma Labs QD strap and my headlamp and some little tools like Allen wrenches that I might need in there, that kind of stuff. Easily accessible, just this nice little shallow pocket that zips shut there. It has, you know, these removable compression straps, which I tend to mount a tripod off on the side of my bag. It's easy to mount with this. Even my ultra tall light fluid head setup mounts on there quite nicely and keeps the weight close to me instead of hanging it out here off the back. But you can open this horseshoe back panel, which has that pocket built into it. And there's, you know, I hang a tool, you can put your car keys or whatever clipped into there. And it's got a couple internal pockets. I tend to keep batteries, and I got my big USB-C battery that could charge, you know, the Z6, Z7 batteries a bunch of times. It could charge the Z9 battery a couple times via USB-C even while it's running. It's a nice thing about the 6.2, 7.2 Z9. They do that, the ZFC. I've got some spare CF Express B cards in there. In this little pocket in here, I've got a white balance color checker and a compass, just some, you know, little sundries, things I might use. It has a pocket that's padded for a laptop or hydration bladder, and routing for the hose, and a holder to keep the bladder from collapsing up here. You can run the hose straight out through this H2O port. I tend to keep a hydration bladder in there for hiking. That's a couple of liters. You can also, like I said, put your laptop in there and secure it. Down here, I've got, you know, my rocket blower for if things get dirty. This cool thing I'll show you in a second that comes with the NYA-EVO bag. I've got a pair of extra reading glasses that fold up in case I lose mine, a little extra emergency wilderness toilet kit, spare batteries for my headlamp, a little Lume Cube Mini in case I need some extra light for some reason. And all that stuff fits in there nicely. I'll leave this little guy out. That's a cool thing. You know, this bag has such a nice roll top dry bag, just in case you get wet gear you don't want to put in with your camera stuff and other gear. That opens up and adds a whole bunch of storage for like wet jackets and gloves and things like that up here in the top that's completely separate. But if you have even more stuff you want to carry, you know, let's say you have, you know, an extra jacket or a little bivvy shelter or something like that, you can put this little guy that comes with the bag, which I love, right here. It just clips in to these attachment points, top and bottom, same place that the removable compression straps run through. And you can cinch it in, and you can stick stuff up underneath there, really pad out a tent, whatever you want to carry in there. And it's also got a little pocket. So it's actually sort of a pocket in and of itself. So just added storage. I mean, this thing just gets bigger and bigger when you need it to. And I love that about it. And then you got your nice big opening sort of clamshell here with the zip-in divider to keep stuff separate from your camera gear. I've always got a hat just to block the sun if I need it, a bunch of spare microfiber cleaning cloths that I keep nice and clean, some extra lens caps and stuff. The NYA-EVO rain cover, which just double waterproofs the bag when you slip it over, comes with the bag, and a camera rain cover. You know, you can add more stuff in there. There's plenty of room for warm clothes, gloves, spare, even more lenses and camera gear, you name it. So that's my basic backpack kit when I'm out in the field with my Z6, Z7, Z6 II, Z7 II. All this stuff obviously is available at hudsonhenry.com/ATS links. You can find links to everything I'm talking about, including my NYA-EVO link, which this bag is just head and shoulders better than any other bag I've ever used in my photographic decades. I just love it. Rick LePage, who's also been photographing for decades, adores everybody I know that's gotten one. Raves. These are awesome. I know right now red is a coming color. Keep your eye out. This is sort of a newer bag. They have a lot of great colors though. And I'll talk to you in a minute about a cool bag for carrying big lenses around in those rare situations where all you want is a big lens and maybe a spare lens and a few things. All right, so this sort of medium-sized pack, it's actually relatively good size, is the Low Pro Lens Trekker 600 AW3. Kind of a big convoluted name. It's not the cheapest solution out there, but it's got a really nice harness, better than any Low Pro pack harness that I used back in the day as I used more Low Pro stuff. It just puts the weight a little bit better on your hips if you've got a longer torso like me. Nice adjustable, good sternum strap, and it's got room in it for my Z9 800mm, a spare couple of lenses potentially, a little bit of clothes. You can strap your tripod or monopod out on the side close to your body where it makes sense to have it. And it's got an organizer area for different stuff you might want to carry with you as well. I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit more about it in detail and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so let's have a look at the backside of this Low Pro massive lens carrier. You know, whether you're shooting with say a Sigma or a Tamron 150 to 600 or a Nikon 200 to 500 or one of the big kind of exotic lenses, you know, there are a bunch of big long lenses that just don't fit well in a traditional camera bag. And sometimes you want to go a little further in, you're really thinking about wildlife, but maybe you want to carry an extra lens and a tripod and some filters and a jacket, and that big lens ready to go. Well, this is your guy because it's got this comfortable harness system that does put the weight on your hips. It's not maybe quite as adjustable as I would love, but it is a big, cushy, padded, nice system that puts the weight on your hips. It's got some nice attachment points on the left hip belt. It's got a nice big pocket for snacks, filters, whatever you might need in the right hip belt. It's got an all-weather cover that's sewn in that you can pull out and cover the whole thing with. That's kind of Low Pro's AW style. Pops out, it's custom made to fit over the whole thing. That's basically the back. It's really the harness is what we're talking about. I'll show you quick. It's got a great attachment point. They designed it really for monopods, but it comes with these compression straps that are quite nice and this pocket to put the tip in. And I can even get my tall, lightweight fluid head set up on here nice and securely just by popping those two guys and putting two of the feet in this removable pocket here. When you're not using it, you can just put those back together like so, but it makes it easy to carry a tripod hands-free with your big lens and some other stuff. You know, the other side has a nice mesh pocket. I've got my GoPro in. You can put a water bottle in there, other stuff. Some more cinch straps if you're putting a bivvy or something on there. You know, and carrying this, the weight's distributed nicely. On the front side, let's turn it over and we'll talk about the inside and the front side. So, front side, you got this nice organizer pocket. You know, I've got a USB-C battery that can charge my Z9 battery fully once. I can put spare batteries in here. It's got a nice zipper pocket. I've got a spare Z9 battery in there. Another pocket, you know, just a nice general organizer along with a cool key keeper so you don't lose your car keys. Snap them in there. And then we come to sort of the main part of the show, which it's got a big carrying handle so you can carry it around that folds under and gets nice and out of the way. And then it's got dual zippers that come around and this whole big thing opens up. You can see I've got this movable top shelf essentially. In that I've got my 24 to 120S lens in here in case I want to do some landscapes or something that's not out at the big long lens length. I've got some spare cleaning cloths, a hat. That stuff won't fall out when you set it. It sits nicely right set up, but that's gonna be out of focus for you. So I'm gonna put it back down here. This thing is kind of nicely designed. You can reach under and pull it. It just has a couple of Velcros there, but it Velcros stronger to this, and you can move it up or down depending on which long lens you have. It'd be probably very different for a 150 to 600 or 200 to 500 than it would be for me with my 800, which is the long lens I'm carrying around right now. You've got this block in here that moves around and this Velcros right to it to just cinch around your camera. And then you can just sort of reach in. I've got my shelf set up so that I can easily pull that out. You know, there's my Z9 with the 800 millimeter and its hood on, ready to go. And this shelf, obviously, I've put kind of canted out so it's easier to pull up and out. There's a little wasted space there, but there's a lot of room in here to pack a jacket or anything else. And I think you can see down in there, this is a nice fully padded underneath and all the way around to keep that big element nice and safe. There's a little organizer pocket here too. You can put some memory cards inside. You know, they're kind of made for CF Express. And then, you know, whatever else in this pocket. I like to keep some business cards in there just in case there was ever a loss. People know, hopefully, where to get back my big expensive lens. So this is a great way, you know, to travel with just your big lens, a couple spare lenses, some clothes, your tripod, and still be hands-free. Maybe you need your hand on that bear spray. And I've got links to all this stuff in this video's description and at hudsonhenry.com/ATS links. Those links help me out, so thanks for using them. Really quick before I wrap this up, I just got back from Glacier National Park, and Pike and Pepper wanted to say hey really quick. I swear they got bigger while I was gone. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope that everyone can take some little thing home, whether you have a giant lens, whether you don't have a giant lens, whether you're shooting with a big pro body, whether you're shooting with one of the smaller bodies that are easier to carry around. I think some of those packing tips can really help out. And I'm a big fan of that new lens trucker bag. It's chunky, but it lets you carry a big lens along with some other lenses for other types of work and some of the extra gear that you need into tough locations where, you know, you don't have to reconfigure your normal bag that you carry around all the time. That can be a real pain and time consuming. So it's a pretty sweet setup. And for those of you with big long lenses, you know, you should give it a test. I think it's pretty darn cool. You know, I put links to everything I'm talking about here today in this video's full description. If you click the title or show more, I keep links to all the gear that I talk about and use personally and stand behind, updated at hudsonhenry.com/ATS-links. Those links really help me out, and I appreciate your using them. And I thank you so much for sharing, subscribing, and liking the channel. It makes a huge difference for me. So, you know, the next time I'm gonna be using a big lens is in Grand Teton National Park this fall in October. We're gonna have a couple of workshops there. We've had a certain amount of churn. There've been people who've had to drop because of personal reasons or timing or health issues. And so we had one person break their tibia and fibia, sadly. But there are a couple slots that have reopened. I filled a couple weeks ago. Now we have 2 more open, 1 in each workshop. So I'm linking that workshop in this video's description, but you can also run over to hudsonhenry.com/workshops and click on the open workshops link. And you'll find that there are some signups right now. They could be gone by the time you get there, but it's worth checking out. That's going to be a spectacular workshop in one of the coolest locations that's both, you know, spectacular for landscapes and for wildlife at the same time, and for putting wildlife in spectacular landscape situations, it's really special. The Tetons are just special. Plus it's a cool town that's fun to hang out in together. All right, so that's what we're up to. I got the Portland workshop, packed workshop taking off. Next week, we're gonna have a ton of fun in waterfalls and mountains all over the Portland region. I hope all of you are finding ways to stay creative, staying safe, having fun, getting out there, capturing. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.